You already know who it is. It's the reason you're listening. It's Justin Thin of 24/7 Sports to break everything down with recruiting, the transfer portal, what's going on with the football program. Hey, it's going to be a good time. As always, let's go.
Are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
The greatest people in the world. We're talking the viewers of Locked On Spartans, the listeners of Locked On Spartans, and also this gentleman, Justin Thin of 24/7 Sports. But before letting him talk, hey, Omaha Steaks is a gift from the heart, a gift that will be remembered with every unforgettable bite. Order with complete confidence today, knowing that you're ordering the very best. Visit omahasteaks.com and use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout, and get that extra $30 off your order. And you know who else is a gift from the heart, folks? It's Justin Thin of 24/7 Sports. JT, coming just days off of your Eagles clinching a playoff spot. Is this the reason why you came on the show? Just because you're in such a good mood that you'll say yes to anything? Is that why you're here?
Yeah, about right.
Okay.
Eagles doing well. Signing day around the corner, obviously.
Yep.
So sounds like a time where there's a lot to talk about sports-wise.
There might be. If you're listening on Tuesday night, 8 days away from signing day, if you're listening to this on Wednesday, we're a smooth week out of early National Signing Day. Justin, obviously there's been some news with Michigan State in the recent past. 2 decommits over the weekend, of course. We also had Jeremy Bernard entering the transfer portal. All 10 assistant coaches are still on the staff after a 5-7 season. We talked about all that yesterday, but hey, there's going to be plenty of, that riffraff to get into during this conversation. But let's start on a pleasant note, if you will. Do you have any good news for us, or like any positive spin zones? Or I guess the first question is, hey, what reason can we smile right now? How about that one to set the tone?
Yeah, I think the class is going to be smaller than everyone anticipated, but there's some good targets that could potentially join the class here in the coming days and weeks. Not entirely sure of the exact timeline. It's possible that maybe he commits before this uploads even, but Jaelon Barbarin, the running back from California that visited this past weekend, sounds like he's going to be coming to a decision today or tomorrow or the next day, very imminently. Myself and Corey Robinson and Greg Viggins over on the West Coast have Michigan State predictions in there. And then his best friend, who he was high school teammates with for the first 3 years, Sean Brown, a rangy 6'3" cornerback, a safety. He's a guy that can play that ball hawk type of a role back there. He glides out there, really good ball skills, not elite in terms of speed or tackling or any one tool, but just very good in every facet. So kind of what you want out of a typical safety. And those are 2 guys that I think Michigan State has pretty solid leads for right now. Then there's some guys that I think they're 50-50 with, such as Sam Leavitt, the quarterback that is committed to Washington State.
Okay.
He just went up to 4-star status. He was outside of the top 800, I believe, just a few weeks ago. Great job by Jay Johnson and his assistants to get that prospect discovered and to get him on campus. And they visited him last week at his house, hosted him this past weekend, and then they're visiting him again in home, I believe, this week. So they're going hard there. Keyshawn Blackstock, the 4-star JUCO offensive lineman, the #1 interior offensive lineman on 24/7, who Coach Cap thinks can play right tackle immediately. He's, I'd say, at worst 50-50, Michigan State versus the field, maybe even 55-45. And then Kedrick Reescano, the former Michigan State running back commit, seems like he's down to Michigan State at Ole Miss right now. So those are just 5 guys that come to mind immediately before they maybe have any possible surprises, which would honestly be a surprise to me right now, too. There's nobody I'm sitting on or holding back, or maybe expanding the board a little bit, too, because Sean Brown's a guy that they offered and got on campus all within the last 6 days. So that's how quickly new targets can emerge, too. So I think they're going to end up with at least 16 high school recruits, most likely.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, 10's not looking great right now, but I think it has the potential to change quickly. But, really, I think the way that I would summarize the last few weeks is Jeremy Bernard loss was not ideal. There's probably one coaching change I would have made. And the class probably doesn't have as much depth as you'd like. But other than those 3 bullet points right there, for the most part, I think there's been a tremendous overreaction in terms of just the overall mood and dynamic. At the end of the day, this class
Sorry.
has at the end of the day, this class has more top tier talent than Michigan State has ever brought in a single cycle.
Right.
If they land one more 4-star, they will have broken the record. Right now, they're tied with that record, and the class average is far higher than the previous class in 2016 that has the record. So, right now, it's there's a lot of positives that are being, I guess, brushed aside by the class not being as deep. So I think, next year they need to have another record-setting class, but combining that with depth. But that doesn't change the fact that they still checked one of those 2 boxes, and it was the box that was harder to check out of those 2 in terms of the top-tier talent while lacking depth.
Sure. And so, just like you said, they're 1 4-star away from, setting that program record of most 4-stars in a single class at Michigan State. So 2 4-stars that, you just mentioned, Sam Leavitt, the quarterback that's currently committed to Washington State right now. And then Kedrick Reescano, the 4-star running back who once was a commit here, then decommitted, then against all odds is still in the fold.
Yeah.
Between those 2 guys, which one, in your opinion, has a better chance of inking that national letter of intent with the Spartans?
Probably Reescano. I would say they're both in that 55-45 kind of range. Maybe leave it as 50-50, and I think Reescano is 55-45. So neither one of those are heavy leans. It's not like Barbarin and maybe Brown, where I expect them to become Spartans. It's more of a 50-50-ish, 55-45-ish. But I put Blackstock in the same category. He's another 4-star. So if they can land one of those 3, they'll have the record, and I think they should at least be able to land one of those 3.
You know what? I'm just going to stay on the quarterbacks, but now I'm going to take like a negative trajectory towards the line of questioning. Sam Leavitt, hey, solid player, 4-star quarterback. Jay Johnson found this kid very early, can make plays with his feet. He's got a quick release on his throw. Good quarterback, okay? This isn't a I don't like Sam Leavitt question. This is should I be a little irritated as a fan that over the weekend, Dante Moore flew clean across the country to visit UCLA, and Michigan State couldn't get this 5-star quarterback to take an hour-long trip down 96 to visit Michigan State? Like, am I allowed to be irritated with that, or am I reading the situation all incorrect when it comes to 5-star quarterback? Well, target, that's probably not a target anymore, Dante Moore.
Yeah, I think this is always why I tried to tell every single person that until Dante Moore schedules a visit, there's zero reason for optimism.
Yeah.
And the second I first reported that Michigan State would pursue him, I said in that article itself and the tweet in which I tweeted it, where I said the odds of this are not high at all. Mm-hmm. And the recruitment technically doesn't start until his state title run ends, which was 4 weeks after I made that report. And in those 4 weeks, so the recruitment did not even truly begin, fans had already gotten their hopes up somehow. And then the visit, as far as our knowledge, maybe there was a secret visit, I don't know. But as far as we know, there was no visit. And still, fans were getting their hopes up. And I don't get where a lot of that came from. I know there was a crystal ball prediction made that I can't speak for. But if people were listening to what I had been saying this entire time, it's, yes, I can report 100% fact Michigan State is pursuing Dante Moore. However, there's no reason for optimism whatsoever. But people were just not believing my second part of that statement for some reason. And
we just needed something to believe in. We just needed some reason to smile after 5 and 7 seasons. So when we saw, the 5-star that's an hour and a half away,
right?
I'll throw all my eggs in that basket.
Yeah,
sure. Why not?
Yeah. So I guess really the only other thing I have to add there is the fact that UCLA has a quarterback committed right now, and it's one who is ranked higher than Bo Edmondson was when he was committed to Michigan State, tells you that the narrative out there that, Michigan State couldn't land Dante because it took Bo Edmondson was unequivocally false. I know his high school coach kind of put that insinuation out there back then. That, in my opinion, was more of them not wanting to say, hey, we didn't really have Michigan State in our top 2. and take the onus on them. So I think really what it came down to was back then, Michigan State, I think, would have finished third behind Notre Dame was actually who got a silent verbal just a couple weeks after that, and then Oregon, and then the tides changed there. But I think back then, Michigan State would have finished third at best, and I think right now they're going to finish third at best. So that's just how it's been consistently this whole time. So that's just how it went.
There we go, bronze medal, baby. That's what we're talking about. Woo! Keep chopping. No, we're going to get to another big 5-star as well on the other side of this quick little break here. Samson Okunlola. That's right. I'm going to let you sit on that one for a little bit, Justin. As I talk to these fine people about a big old sack of meat, we're talking Omaha steaks, best in the business. If you want to make someone's holiday great, or hey, if you just want to make your own holiday great, buy this for yourself. Treat yourself. It's the holidays for crying out loud. Go get yourself some Omaha steaks. They've put together a delicious selection of various gift packages to make shopping for the ones you love nice and easy. Go to omahasteaks.com and take advantage of 50% off site-wide. Plus, code locked on, all one word, locked on. Use that at the checkout. That's going to get you an additional $40 off your order. Omaha Steaks is everything you need to give a gift that is just, well, quite simply perfect. Send an assortment of mouth-watering favorites like the delicious Butcher's Cut Filet Mignon, air-chilled boneless chicken, ultra-juicy burgers, and even easy-to-prepare comfort meals that are ready in a flash. Omaha Steaks is a gift from the heart, a gift that will be remembered with every single unforgettable bite. Order with complete confidence today, knowing that you're ordering the very best. Visit omahasteaks.com. Take advantage of 50% off site-wide. Plus, use promo code LOCKEDON. Again, that's all one word, LOCKEDON, at checkout to get that extra $40 off your order. Minimum order may be required. And let's get Justin Thin back into the fold here. December 15th is right around the corner, and God, that just gave me a heart attack. That means Christmas is really close, and I'm not prepared for that. But enough of my problems. Let's talk about the recruiting issues going on here. It's not, I guess, not really an issue. They still got 2 solid offensive line commits. You got Cole Dellinger, okay? You got Stanton Rommel. However, December 15th, Samson Okunlola is committing somewhere. No idea where it's at. What % chance do you have for us state fans of landing Samson Okunlola's commit this Thursday?
Not that high, but maybe I'm more pessimistic than the staff because Monday night, Cap and Coach Tucker rolled into Massachusetts and did another visit with Samson. They also did that last week.
Okay.
So
all right,
they're not typically ones to waste their time down the stretch here. I guess over the summer when official visits were happening, they kind of did invite some guys who probably didn't have a shot with. But when it comes to them traveling and taking flights and allocating actual time and resources to make trips to, they don't usually waste their time. But at the end of the day, I can't see it not being Florida here. Michigan State did a great job fighting off Miami's alleged 7-figure offer here. That's how tight his relationship is with Coach Cap and Coach Tucker. There's not many programs that would be able to hang around with that kind of a package being on the table. But I think now that Florida's gotten things sorted out and things of that nature, there's going to be a lot of difficulty to unseat them in this recruitment, I think. But I guess they keep visiting them, so I shouldn't be counting them out totally. But right now, I would not say that Michigan State lands him.
Is Ademola Filet, the tight end transfer from Norfolk State, was he on that flight as well over to Massachusetts to try to sweeten the pot? Like, hey, speaking of, here's your newest potential teammate. It's your own cousin. Please tell me he at least on the flight. We gotta just juice this orange as much as we possibly can.
Yeah, I mean, I have no knowledge of that, but that would seem like a good idea.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Not sure if that's legal, but I'm sure him being a family member is like a loophole that you can somehow spin in there somehow.
Right. Yeah. See, right. You get it. Yeah.
But yeah, that's an interesting dynamic. So they landed his cousin, the tight end from Norfolk State that you just mentioned. It's a guy that has frame and potential, but not a lot of production in Norfolk State. Granted, they only threw the ball 9 times to tight ends, but I'm thinking if he was elite or generational, they would have changed their philosophy with tight ends. But still, I mean, I don't know. You've seen some offenses where they have good tight ends and still don't throw it to them that much. So I think at the end of the day, it's very interesting to see how that might play out. But one thing I do like that I've seen this offseason is they haven't gone blindly after the backups from Alabama or Georgia. They're trying to be very unique with the evaluations. And the defensive back from Iowa, the defensive tackle from Liberty, some of the guys they've been scouting at various positions, they are trying to be very, very intentional with who they go after. I'm not entirely seeing the full picture with this individual pickup, but I think I like their overall approach to the portal this year. And that they've mixed in the Tunmise, Adeleyes of the world into the mix where they truly believe the guy can be lead if he goes to a new place who's young. So it's a good balance this time around for sure.
You just brought me right into the next topic I wanted to talk about, and that was the gentleman's name who I've pronounced 8 different ways. I think you just introduced a 9th way to pronounce his name, but we're going to go with Tunmise Adeleye.
I think that's
How about this?
That's what the Texas A&M Media Guide had. So I think you said it better than I did.
Some combination of all 9 pronunciations we've had this week. Somewhere in the middle of all that is a correct pronunciation, but simply put, the top 40 recruit transfers from Texas A&M. You guys already know who we're talking about. If you've read Justin's work, if you listen to this show, we've talked all up and down about him. Visited over the weekend. I hate to be lazy and just ask the same question, like, what % chance do you give? But Justin, quite simply put, like, how did that visit go? Could Michigan State fans be excited, or is this like, we got a long way to go? We're at like the other 10-yard line for this one right here.
So I think Michigan State has as good a shot as anybody right now because he took that visit first for a reason, because he was sure that Michigan State was one of the schools that he was going to consider. The rest of the visits came together over time, but he wanted to go visit BT Jordan immediately. He chose his first school off of different priorities than he'll be choosing this next school. And his number one priority right now would be talent development, and BT Jordan gives MSU as much of a shot as anybody. He's still taking other visits, which I thought would be pretty normal, but I was shocked to see the reaction on the message board when people were furious he didn't commit on the visit. But I'm thinking, here's he's a kid that just finished his redshirt freshman year. He's regretting his first recruitment, and now you expect him to choose his next school after one visit and no due diligence.
That's fair.
Yeah, very shocking to me that people were having that negative reaction there. But at the end of the day, it's Miami and USC and Cal. So 2 of those schools are a pretty legitimate threat. So I can easily see Michigan State losing their lead. But right now, I do think they have a small lead. And I think BT Jordan is probably the number one factor in the recruitment so far.
Bang. And I want to talk more transfer portal stuff here in a hot segment. But the other side, our side, like, hey, who's leaving for Michigan State? Are you surprised to see how kind of slow-ish it's been so far? But first, Justin, I got to talk to people's ear off about betonline.net. That's right. Hey, if you want to have a rootin' tootin' time this bowl season, Lord knows we're not going to have it watching our team. But hey, that doesn't mean it can't be fun, because BetOnline is going to have all the lines, all the action, all the spreads, all the props that you can need to make this holiday season a bowl bonanza. That's right. BetOnline. We're talking your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there. From pro football to college bowl season to basketball, and World Cup fever is still going on. They've got it all at betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, which you're 20 minutes into one right now, I'd really hope that you do like sports podcasts. I got good news for you. You can find even more of those at BetOnline as well. We are always the fastest and easiest way to get in on all of your betting action. So what on earth are you waiting for over there? Head to the website today. Use your mobile device. Learn more about the trends and action. That is at BetOnline, where the game starts. And let's start this third segment here with Justin Thinn of 24/7 Sports. You already know who he is. Needs no introduction. Let's start this with, well, talking about Michigan State in the transfer portal as well. Obviously, the biggest boom so far, probably Jeremy Bernard entering the portal. There's a lot of day left for transparency. We are recording during lunchtime on Tuesday, so if anything happens this afternoon, we'll get to it later. But so far, Is this what you expected from the Michigan State side of the transfer portal, or is it a little slower than what you thought it would be as we are a little over a week into the window?
Yeah, I was thinking more people would depart. I would think that there's a lot of guys reaching that redshirt junior or senior years of their careers that might want to go ahead and prioritize playing time before they call it a career in college football. So a few names stick out to me that I'm surprised that I haven't seen hit the portal, but I can also see them wanting to give it maybe one last shot during spring camp to see where they sit on the depth chart before they maybe depart then possibly.
Gotcha.
I honestly did think that Michigan State would finally lose a starter or two to the portal just because this would have been the third straight offseason of them not having that happen to them. And that happens to every program, even the best ones. I don't know who it would be. So I can't sit here and say, yeah, I predicted Jeremy would leave. But I thought there's no way that they can have 3 straight years of being one of the only teams to not lose anybody that good to the portal. Obviously, it coming the same week as people being frustrated about Colton Hood's decommitment and the class being kind of small didn't help the reaction of it.
Yeah.
But if you would have looked at it in a vacuum and the overall mood not being what it was at the time, I would have just been like, yeah, that's not ideal, but it had to happen to Michigan State eventually and would have just called it a day and moved on. And that would have been my reaction. But obviously I can see why it's mounting for some people, but they have some guys that wanted to, or I should say there's some schools that wanted to look at some guys from Michigan State who did not enter the portal, and they were able to get that taken care of. But with Jeremy here and the no contact tag that he entered the portal with, that's very interesting to me.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see how that unfolds. We'll see if he commits without taking a visit somewhere, which is kind of what usually happens after a non-contact tag. And I don't want to cast any assertions here of what's happening.
Accusations, sure.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see what happens. But I think this is one of those ones where the kid has a predetermined destination. And it's also probably one of those ones where he knows that a very, very promising package is available to him. But also because I just referenced Michigan State taking care of other overtures for other players on the team, I think they would have been able to do that in this case too, if it was just about the money. But I don't believe it was, just because of the fact that, like I said, they've taken care of it before and not this time. Again, just my speculation there. But I think that if it was just about the money, they probably could have gotten it taken care of. So eventually this is going to happen here at Michigan State, and it finally did.
So like a normal healthy person, as I'm staring up in my ceiling at 2:35 in the morning, thinking about Michigan State football, I get crazy thoughts, and I need you to talk me down off one of them right now. Jeremy Bernard, it was no secret when they recruited him, when they got him as late in the cycle as they did, that, well, it was kind of aided because he was such good friends with Caton Hauser, And I was thinking like, oh, well, if Jeremy's leaving, like, is that going to waiver Caton at all? Or, oh God, no, I'm not going to sleep at all tonight. Caton Hauser, how's that whole situation there? Like, do you think he's happy enough to not even be a threat for the portal, or what are we looking at right here? Obviously, anything can happen anytime, but
right.
Right now.
No, with Caton committing to Michigan State before Jeremy was even really entertaining the idea, it tells me that really at the end of the day, that's not something that's going to be a huge factor for him, especially the fact that they played for the same high school before Caton transferred away from the high school that Jeremy played at. So if Caton was willing to transfer away from playing with Jeremy, I don't think now he's going to transfer just because Jeremy's not with him. So there's no connection there at all. But no, I don't foresee this having any ripple effects or having any ties to anyone else on the roster, including Caton.
All right. Well, I'm that much closer to having a good night of sleep, but there is one roadblock in the way that I want to get to right now. Are we seriously going into next season with the same coaching staff that we just had for a 5-7 season? Is that really about to happen, Justin? Nothing's happened so far. Take it away before I just melt down.
Yeah, I mean, there's one change that I would have made after the Indiana game. Probably very close to right after the game's conclusion, if not the next day or so. But other than that, I don't I guess maybe I'm on an island here, but other than that, I wouldn't have made many other moves. I would have rolled with 9 of the same guys. Maybe
Okay.
maybe eight, but really, I'd say most likely I would have rolled with 9 of the same guys going into next year. And that's why it's not a huge surprise to me that there hasn't just been a mass sort of firing, especially because last offseason after 11-2, Tucker essentially he didn't fire either of them, but he essentially got 2 guys out of there in order to upgrade the staff. So for them to not make the one move that comes to my mind is very surprising in a vacuum, just in terms of that one move. But I wouldn't have been expecting multiple moves anyway. And I know I strongly disagree with the stuff I see during the season and fans talking about, oh, fire this guy, fire that guy every time something goes wrong. When really the way I would be looking at it is, who can you hire to bring in working with this talent level that you know is a clear and proven upgrade the day that you hire them? And on paper, on a resume front, where you can point to their background and say, yes, this person 100% can get more out of Amir Speed, Chester Kimbrough, Ronald Williams, and Charles Brantley. I cannot say for a fact that I can name you an extensive amount of guys that fit that list, especially ones that are willing to come to Michigan State. So I think people say fire X or fire Y way too casually, and they don't think about, okay,
Probably.
after you fire them, then what? And I think, especially when you look at a position like offensive coordinator where you need continuity and you need scheme, if you just turn into Penn State and you're hiring a new offensive coordinator every single season, that's just not what you want to do. And especially when it comes to firing a guy who the year before last year had one of the best seasons Michigan State has seen on offense in 16 years. And you can say, yeah, sure, it was Kenneth Walker that did it, not Jay Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best minds in college football, Dave Clawson at Wake Forest, had the same Kenneth Walker, and he wasn't utilizing him anywhere close to as effectively. So, yeah, I mean, you can say he was aided by Kenneth Walker, but Kenneth Walker doesn't just make it a given that you're going to have a great offense. So, at the end of the day, I think firing anybody after one season after that production, I'm not willing to do it. I just believe too much instability for that to happen. In terms of the offensive coordinator move, I think by the middle of the season, I was seeing partially what people wanted with a DC change, but it was more for me as, okay, I can see it in terms of just turning the page, not actually because of anything being a fireable offense, because just the talent out there was just not good. But even then, the improvement towards the second half of the season, I backed off of that too. So yeah, I wouldn't have fired either coordinator if I was Mel Tucker. And there's one assistant that I would have replaced. And I think people can read between the lines there, but that's really where I stand on the coaching positions right now.
Schmoss Bells, perhaps. I don't know, just a special teams coordinator that's going to have the special teams doing great. And like, how are they going to look when you don't have Jaden Reed, a guy that you inherited from the D'Antonio era, and then, oh yeah, Bryce Behringer, the guy that should have won the Ray Guy Award? Like, what's it going to look like when you lose those two guys? Because let me tell you, everywhere else, that was kind of a disaster that, well, maybe held you from a bowl game here as Indiana compiled, what was it, 798 return yards on kickoffs? Whatever. I digress. But that is fascinating, though, because I don't really know where the majority of State fans are as far as islands go. Like, there are 15 different islands. Like, there's like, oh yeah, just fire the offensive coordinator, keep everyone else. Oh, fire both guys, or just fire the defensive coordinator, or hey, I want to see all 10 heads roll. I don't know. I really can't get a pulse on it just because like it's just been such a tumultuous season, and when that happens, oh boy, does Pangea split off into like 90,000 different islands of just hate and just passion, emotion, if you will. But hey, that's that's the chat, Justin. That's it. I mean, thanks a lot for dropping by. Yeah. Thanks a lot for your generosity, your time, your knowledge, and just everything you bring to the Locked On Spartans program when you drop by. One of our best guests on the show. You're the best, man. So thanks a lot.
Thanks for having me, Shane. Appreciate it.
You got it. And hey, gang, keep it tuned. Sometime this week, we'll also have Mark Titus of the Titus and Tate Show on. And then, hey, maybe even a mailbag episode somewhat soon. We haven't done that in a while. It's always a good one to break out when there's like 3 weeks between basketball games, which is what we're in right now. But until then, keep it real. Love you all. Go green.